I want to welcome all of you to the Power of God series, and we're going to be talking about time. Now, for those of you who don't know, I want to fill in a little bit about me. Last week we talked a little bit. I had an appointment with my shoulder surgeon. I have an artificial knee and an artificial shoulder, and I've decided I want another artificial shoulder. The pain got there, so I'm ready. Long set of circumstances. I canceled that appointment, went to it with another doctor. He said, let's just do a shot. Long set of circumstances. On the way leaving the doctor's office, I fell down the concrete steps. No, not steps, stairs. And my feet went up, and I came down right there on one of the steps. Ambulance, fire truck, the whole 9 yards. As long as I don't move that muscle, I'm fine. But if I don't shake your hand, you know why. But I am doing much better. There's just certain things I cannot do. We got somebody else doing the horse training. So thank you, everyone, for your prayers. We didn't know how bad it was going to be. If I call an ambulance, it was hurting. But also keep my wife in your prayers. She's down in her back. She's actually hurting all the time. I just hurt when I move the wrong way. But we do really appreciate all your prayers. And so if I'm a little moving funny, I'm just protecting my muscle. So we want to thank you for that. We're going to pray, and we're going to get started with horse training with a message. Father God, we thank you because we're going to be talking about time. And we thank you for your timing. We don't always agree with it, but you are the great creator, and you have power over time. You can stop the sun, and you can even make it go backwards, and we're going to talk about that today. But Lord, I pray that you will help us understand that your timing is better than ours. And we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. I want to thank Tegan that schedules all my horses, and she made some phone calls, and we get to meet Chris. I know today's the first time I've met Chris, but she volunteered to bring a horse and teach us some things that from a different part of our world. So tell us a little bit about you and the horse you got today.
All right, so my name is Chris Hendrickson. You probably know me from G5. I'm usually over there. If I'm not there, I'm on a horse. This is Dragon. He's a 6-year-old Arabian. I've only had him since about September. He came into training. The lady pretty much wanted him sold. He kind of had a bucking issue, but he's getting better. Background on me, I started riding when I was 8, did a lot of pleasure horses. Got out of that, did a little rodeo, then ended up doing hunters, did the hunter jumper thing, graduated high school, and moved to Texas. And decided I wanted to ride cutters and reiners. And I did that for a very long time.
You're not old enough to do it for a long time. Just say it.
Very long time. Graduated when I was 17, and that's all I've done. I've been here in Florida about 2 years. I moved here for my mom, and in my time in Texas, after I left the reining and cutting deal, I did my own working cow horse. Before working cow horse was big, we were going to Snaffle Bit in Reno and that kind of deal. I did a lot of training for a lady for about 5 years in the Arabs, showing them at a super high level, and got into endurance. And would take a lot of young horses for their first limited distance. Limited distance are usually about 15 miles or 25. And, I'm just sticky, I guess. I stay on. So, but that got me into this distance riding thing. And so I did the COVID Derby this year.
You got to explain that.
So the COVID Derby was our take on the Mongolian Derby, since we couldn't go to Mongolia this year. So the Mongolian Derby is an annual deal that is ran in Mongolia, the country. It's the old Genghis Khan route, mail route. And so we ride 600 miles across Mongolia on semi-wild ponies. and every 25 miles we get a new pony. And it's been on my bucket list. When I was 27, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 3. I've since beat that. I beat it twice. And so I have a bucket list.
Amen.
And Mongolia was on the list. And last year I ended up applying. We were supposed to go this next year in 21, but because of COVID, we ended up, we'll go in 22. And so this year, all of us banded together. Devin Horn, who's out in Texas, who has been, I think, second in the Mongolian Derby. She put together COVID Derby. And so we did this virtually for 30 days. The goal was to ride 600 miles. So I went into the deal with 4 horses. 2 of them were 3-year-olds that I didn't have a lot of time on. And I only made 346 miles in the month of August, trying to juggle that and a full-time job. So we kind of sort of made it halvesies. So I do a lot of training. With every horse that comes into me, I do a lot of distance. I put 3 miles on this horse yesterday. I put 3 miles on that horse yesterday. And we just kind of build from there. For me, it's getting them fit, because I would rather take a horse to a limited distance and he finish great and recover great than make it a bad thing and he's tired. So my training program has always been a little different, even when I was out in Texas. Everybody kind of has their own way. I never felt like I needed to force a horse to do anything. When I start them, if they buck, I did something wrong. To me, bucking is a confidence issue. Horses are scared. Very rarely does a horse really want to put you in the dirt. If he is, there's a reason. I can count on one hand the horses that I've given up on, that I've said, he's better off as a pasture ornament or something else. Don't try to ride it. But as people, we have a tendency to put things on horses that I don't think we really realize that we do. We put a lot of hopes and dreams on them, and at the end of the day, they just know their horse. So I try to keep my training pretty simple. With this guy, it's been gaining his trust. The people that had him before kind of pulled on him a lot, didn't let him find his own way. We've been working on backing. He doesn't really understand that, and so I just kind of hold my pressure, and then I ice skate backwards. And when he gives me one, good job. And I try not to get greedy. Say, yeah, you did that on your own. But in riding this horse, I restarted him like a 2-year-old that had never been saddled. Took him through all of that. Had some issues with him on the ground, trying to be a bronc. He's never done anything real bad on top of it, except he gets scared and kind of does the Arab. I was speaking to some people earlier. He is an Arabian, and a lot of times they get a bad rap. They are pretty reactive, but they're not bad horses. They're just incredibly intelligent and very, very, very sensitive and light. And the history on these guys, almost every horse breed has Arabian in it, and they were ridden into battle. So you kind of needed something that watched and paid attention and was fast. And he is that. But, I had some questions on what's in his tail. His tail drags the ground probably about 4 inches. I recently acquired this horse, so I wasn't going to change anything with him. Down the road, I want to show him. And they want their tails super long, because when he puts his tail up over his back and gets all snorty, they want that long, pretty tail. So that's why his tail's up. But
Somebody asked me earlier about why the tail wrap, and I said, I'm a cowboy. I would say if he poops, it don't get in his hair.
Yeah.
And then I told him, no, it was probably. Which one is that, me or her? Then I said, probably the long tail. A lot of your show people with their horses, that tail is beautiful when in the show ring, but it's hard to keep that way. So, good point.
So I've lost my, there we go. So that is why his tail's up. Also, when I ride him through brush and that kind of stuff, I don't want to get anything tangled in it and dragging it behind him, because that would be interesting. But he's a pretty good kid. Like I said, he's learning. I feel like kind of the way he was started, I liked my horses to find their own way. I don't like to hold them a lot. 'Cause when I'm going down the trail and I'm on mile 25 or 30, it gets real, you get in all sorts of weird positions, and you're riding one-handed and you're switching diagonals and you're sitting, you're cantering a little bit. It's all about finding what's comfortable for you and that horse. And I kind of need him to I point him and he just keeps going. Whether there's water, whether there's a scary bush, we just got to go. And, I have a lot of people that bring me horses, and they're always like, well, Chris, you're so fearless. And you just get on them and go. Well, a little bit, but you got to trust them. And that's always been my biggest thing is I believe that my horses don't want to hurt me. And if they're worried or they're scared, then it's my job to say, hey, you're all right. And I shouldn't put them in any position where they question that. When I go, hey, you're okay, they go, okay, you're okay. We're okay. I'm worried, but we're okay. And that's always been the base of my training. Like I said, I don't like to force anything. And like with this little guy, like he's found whoa pretty easy. And most of that comes off my seat. I don't believe in pulling a horse to a stop. That comes from reining. If you're pulling a horse to a stop, you're giving him something to lean on, and he's not able to pick up his shoulders if he's doing this and bracing against that bridle. If he comes to a stop when I put my weight in my feet and my hands stay where they are, and he kind of runs into my hands and rolls over and picks his shoulder up, that's a good stop because he's using his back. I am kind of big into biomechanics and how horses move, and I want him to move correctly, because if a horse is moving correctly, he's going to stay sound longer. If my horse is going down the trail for 20 miles with his head in the air, hollow in the back, he's not going to stay sound. He's going to be sore in the back when I go into vet check, and they're not going to let me keep going. And so that's one of the things I've got to get this horse, where he's softer in the face and wants to round out and pick up his back and drive with his hind end. And once he does that, at walk, trot, lope, whatever we're doing, whatever I ask him to do, whether it's chase cows, whether it's do some dressage, run barrels, any of that, if he's correct, I tell people all the time, horses are bridges. Your bridge is strong if it moves like this. Your bridge is not so strong if it's like this. And so I don't believe in gimmicks. I don't believe in martingales. I don't believe in tie downs. I don't believe in any of that. A good snaffle bit and nice hands, you can get that way. I'm kind of a big pusher of Tom Balding bits. That's what this horse has on. It's a ball hinge snaffle. Buck Brenneman says it's the only bit you need. And I don't know what the guy does when he makes them, but I didn't believe it till I tried one, and now it's like my favorite snaffle ever. But I put all my young horses in it. I do a lot of work without a bit. I do a lot in a loping hackamore, do a lot in traditional Brazil, and that comes from the working cow horse. I never had a snaffle bit for treaty horse, but I had a lot of hackamore horses, and take it back to that traditional deal, building a horse that can go on to be a bridle horse that we can use into 15, 16, 20 years old. Longevity has always been a big part of my program. Shortcuts will get you short results, get you short success. I could slam on this horse and have him at gallop in the Greenway, at the end of December and January doing a 50 if I pushed on him. But mentally, I don't think he could handle that. And that's my job as a trainer, is to assess this horse and say, okay, I think he can do this at this point, and set him up for success. That's always what I tell people, even when starting a horse. I don't ever want to put him in a situation where I set you up to fail, because then he becomes unconfident. And then if I have an unconfident horse, that's when you get behavioral problems. That's when the horse throws his head or bucks or runs off or gets scared. But if he's confident and he believes in me and I believe in him, then we'll be pretty successful. And so,
You know, I think one of the things she's saying that goes against the horse world, and she's right, is we try to make a horse in 30 or 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what's best for the horse. But when you're paying somebody X amount of dollars a month to ride them, you want a lot of results. I mean, back when I started, they wanted 30 days and they wanted their grandchildren riding them. You know, but it's a different thing.
It's still the same today. And I like to use the 21-90 rule. So it takes 21 days to create a new habit. It takes 90 to change a lifestyle. So if you can expect this horse to come into training and in 30 days have an idea of what he's supposed to do and go out here and be broke, that we're not really giving him a fair shake. And unfortunately, a lot of the horses I get have been a 30-day deal. You know, I know this horse was started by a friend of mine that put 90 days on him, and then he kind of went down the road. And to me, at 90 days, a horse is just getting the idea of what he's supposed to be doing. And if you're doing it right, you're on the right track. I don't take horses in on 30 days. I turn horses down a lot because that's what people want. They want me to tune it up. They want me to put 30 days on it. And especially a horse to start, they have to stay with me at least 60 days. Because I do a lot of groundwork. I get silly on these things. I jump around. I do jumping jacks next to them. My biggest thing is whoa. A horse should know when I say whoa, feet stop. That gets you out of a lot of deals. If your horse is standing at the trailer and something happens, if you're on him or out on a trail, whoa means stop. My biggest thing is a one rein stop. All my horses learn it, they keep it their whole life. If you pull one rein, stop your feet. This little guy doesn't really understand that yet. Good boy. And the reason I do that is because if you're out on a trail or down the road, if he's with somebody and something scares him, one rein stop. He's not going to take off and running down the road. This horse, like I said before, has been pulled on a lot, so his go-to is head in the air, run off. One rein stop. So when he wants to run around and get crazy and head up in the air, and I really don't have anything, if you pull on both reins, he ain't going to stop. He's just going to keep going. Head in the air, run off. If I do this, he's going to stop. He's going to stop or we're going to fall over. But usually horses want to keep 4 feet on ground. But, you know, that's one of my biggest deals. And I get a lot of horses in training that have been blown up, that have been a barrel horse, or they have been a cutting horse, or they've, you know, I get the problem, and I just take my time. I feel like everything can be fixed with time, and, you know, sometimes it takes longer than others. I had a big mare prior to moving here. She was my dream. She came to me with a lot of issues. She'd just stand on her hind feet. And she was a 3rd level dressage horse. She was much more educated than I was. She was a lot of money. But I took her thinking, oh, I'm going to fix her and I'm going to go and this is going to be an easy fix. And it took me 3 years. 3 years and trying to figure out that mare's mind. And she made me a better horseman. She made me put different people at my dinner table to where I could bounce ideas off of and learn to be not just a trainer but a horseman and think about the mind that I have, because this is a creature. And that goes back to the 30-90 day thing. I mean, this is a living, breathing animal that thinks on his own. He's got a heartbeat. And the fact that we saddle these things and we do the things that we do with them is incredible to me. The fact that we have futurity horses, the fact that we show these things, the fact that we work cattle. I mean, when you really stop and think about all the things we do with horses, it's incredible to me that they allow us to do it, that we're able to do it. And, you know, I'm a firm believer that horses are magic and they give people things. They're very, very good at giving other people, you you know, somebody told me one time that horses are a mirror, and I don't know if I completely agree with that, but I do think that they can give you confidence. I think they can help you go through bad things. That big mare of mine, you know, she's what got me through cancer. I kept her 50 miles away from home, and I'd have to get in my truck and I'd have to drive to her, and I would be so sick that the only thing I could do was wrap my arms around her, and I'd stand there with that mare. And I couldn't quit because, well, I have to go see Tina. I have to go get in the truck and go see her.
I think that's a good idea. What you're saying is you needed a purpose.
Yep.
And horses need a purpose.
Yes.
But if we try to confine that purpose to a ring or a show ring, it messes their mind. You know, she goes out and puts miles on them. You get these horses that want to go, you got to let them go, or you've got a frustrated mind.
Well,
So it's working the ways.
you know, a lot of show horses, you know, I got that a lot because I used to trail ride my show horses, and these were horses that won world titles. Would go to the Snaffle Bit Futurity and Working Cow. I had a rope horse. You know, that this is what they did for a living. This is how we made our money. They were high dollar ponies. We're talking $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $150,000 reining horses. Going around in circles is not what horses are made for. Horses are made to go trot around and eat grass. And so I would take my horses and we'd ride, and we would see all the different scary things and go through water and work cows, and you know, I had 180 acres to ride, and that's what we did. And I will tell you, when I would bring my horses, even my 2-year-old, to horse shows and have them tied on the trailer, tied, you know, standing on a fence, they were able to handle the show life and going down the road and getting on the trailer and standing and doing a lot better than a lot of horses. But I thought about their mental state. You know, the other thing that I do a lot of is I turn horses out a lot. I don't believe in keeping them in boxes. Like I said, they weren't really made for that. It is scary when you take a $50,000 reining horse and you turn him out and you go, please don't break a leg. You know, but I think they need that. You know, just like I think we kind of need, we go on vacations, you know, life gets hard and we say, you know, I got to go get my mind right. And that is something I've struggled with as a trainer, as a rider, as a person, is, you're fine, having a good mindset. Because if I'm not in a good place mentally, I can't do right by him. If I'm not, you know, I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky kid, because I feel like every time I get to put my foot in a stirrup and ride is amazing, because I had a point in my life where I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to do that again. And so the fact that I get to do this, the fact that I get to go to a horse show, I mean, like, I had a blown-up barrel horse that I showed all last year. And sometimes we go to a horse show, and he'd be really good. Other times, I couldn't flat-footed walk in the arena. And I've got the biggest grin in the world on my face, and everyone's like, why are you so happy? Your horse is being horrible. And I'm like, the fact that I get to come be in this pen, and I get to saddle this horse, and I get to ride, is incredible to me. That's, you know, everyone's always like, well, Chris, how you doing? Well, I'm living the dream. I really am. I get to get up in the morning and get on horses and ride. And, you know, if I've done the whole thing where that was my livelihood, I don't like to put that pressure on me anymore. That's why I work at G5. But this is my love and this is my passion, and I love helping people with horses because, like I said, they're magic, and they're able to help people chase dreams and chase goals and get things and enjoy life. I mean, I will tell you, like, getting out there and long trotting those trails, it's a therapeutic deal. I get to go out there and ride, and it's just me and my horse, and we're going, and it's great. And I do it because I love it. And, you know, I've been in the industry a long time, and I feel like we start out as these kids that love horses, and then somewhere in the middle we lose it. And then I think we try to get it back. And, you know, I never want to lose that joy and that just awe when I look at them and go, wow, you guys are incredible. You allow me to chase dreams. You allow me to get on. I get a lot of questions about Mongolia of, are you really going to do that? You're going to get on these wild ponies. And for me, you know, really thinking about it when it was first brought up to me, I was like, I don't know if I want to ride 600 miles, because you only get 14 days to do it. And anybody who's won it finds out a way to do it in 6 to 7 days. So that's like 100 miles a day, which I've done 100 miles in one day, but I've never had to saddle up and do it again the next day and the next day and the next day. But you're going to a country where they've been riding since 1200 BC. The horse is everything that they do. They use every part of that horse. It's a huge part of their culture. And to go and see how they ride and do is just, it's incredible to me. And I think going and getting on and seeing different things, because, horses are horses, and how do they do it in the rest of the world? And, I just might learn something that I can bring home and play around on these guys with. But, no, horses have always been my passion, and helping people and helping horses, because like this little guy, I think he can be a 100-mile horse. He's got enough little fire in there that I think he can be a good one.
For our audience, we got a lot of people that their dream horse is to just get on and walk 5 miles and come back to the trailer, and of course, I have told people, just get a bicycle, because all you want to do is go talk to your friends. It don't cost near as much. But I think that Chris, being a trainer, will agree with me. If you, the average person, is not going to be a performance rider, trainer, show person, you just want a trail ride horse. Do not buy one you have to fix.
No.
And then what happens so many times, when you get the horse, it's good, you keep it for 30 days and it's not good. Now what happened? There could be a number of things. You let it get disrespectful, you put it in a stall, gave it too much energy feed, didn't give it enough exercise, but that's part of the learning process. But I think most every trainer will agree, the number one problem is people get the wrong horse for what they want to do.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I think that's one of the biggest deals, and that's one of the biggest deals that I see. And, we have an idea, I think, in our head as a person of what our ideal horse is or what we want, and we have a tendency to go, oh, well, he's pretty, so I think I need him. And unfortunately, you can get him, but it doesn't mean that he's going to fit you. And I go through this all the time. A lot of people have this idea they want a young horse. Oh, well, we need a young horse so we can grow together. Well, young horse is a lot of work, because it takes a lot for you as an individual. You've got to be able to give that horse confidence. You've got to give him tools. You've got to give him a little bit of training. And I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's a lot harder than getting an older broke one that's been there, done that, seen it all, that goes, oh, we're going down the trail, okay. And I'm not saying that none of them have problems, but they're usually a little easier to work through than a young horse that doesn't know, because that's really what it comes to. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what the rules are. He doesn't know what the guidelines are. He doesn't know what he's supposed to do. He's looking at you and you're saying, I don't know either. I've never been here before. I don't know what we're supposed to do. So then he goes, well, you don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. My best story about young horses, and somebody said that they want to get a young horse for a young child. They want them to grow up together.
Bad idea.
That's
Bad
like
idea.
a mistake. So the story I tell is, let's say my son, and I've been telling this story for 25 years. Now, he's 36 now. But let's say he was driving on the farm when he was 4. I mean, literally with a tractor by himself, he would go to my roping arena. But let's say he goes through school, goes through driver's ed, makes 100. This boy's been driving already for 12 years when he's 16. He gets his driver's license, passes everything great, gets his license, and he wants to take your daughter to Jacksonville for a concert. You going to let him? Oh, he's a perfect driver, but he has no experience. And that's the problem with young horses. There's too many things out in this world they've never seen, and you don't know how they're going to react to it until it happens. So you get these older horses, and then they teach you. And the more you learn, we used to say, when you start off, you get one 20 plus years old. And then when you get better, When he teaches you, then you get one that's 12 to 15. And then when you get better, you can see how dumb you really are. When you think you're going to go get a 2-year-old.
Well, even as a trainer, I ride a lot of young stuff. I've spent a lot of time as a colt starter. But I still make a point to find or borrow or take in a done, finished horse to ride. Because when I ride something that's done, that's finished, that, has the buttons, has the things, it makes me ride my young stuff better. Because when you ride young stuff all the time, you get bad habits. You flip your hands over, you let them pull on you, you do this, you